If I were to close my eyes and picture my childhood, the abiding impression overall certainly contains long periods of being sort of left to my own devices in the basement of our suburban house, where they allowed me to set up my bedroom as a boy. And I think maybe the combination of reading things like Lord of the Rings and, kind of these great stories that children read, and being left on my own, I think it was probably natural to be interested in world making as a result. You read about other worlds and then you kind of make them around you. I think I still do that. I think the difference, and this is this moment talking about these things at my age and stage, it's quite humbling because I'm very late to get the actual point of this stuff, the stuff that my parents, I'm sure, would have hoped that I would have understood years ago. And I'm just finding out now what the real point of world making, for example, really is. They should reflect our experiences as individuals in the real world, and they should somehow inform the journeys we take. And this is something I say a lot these days, but the journey we take from where I come from, through where I belong, toward where I hope to go. Now I'm realizing it's actually, what is that journey? What do you learn on the journey? How do you change? How do you understand the important things in life better, like lifting up the people around you, allowing yourself to be lifted up by members of your community who inspire you, not to get too sentimental, but to learn a bit about love, which should be, of course, driving the entire enterprise. And these days, what I would want for the people who engage with the work I'm busy with at the moment, in a way, I'd want it to sort of be part of their world where they're the protagonists. And maybe it will make them feel, a little less worried. We're producing a lookbook at the moment, and we've used just this little snippet of text that says to turn worry into wonder, or at least to try. And if I were to peek my head in and look at little young Liam in his basement trying to make worlds, I think he would have been trying to make his worry into wonder. That as the hero of his journey, he would have been trying to turn worry into wonder, like some kind of alchemy. And I think I'm still doing that happily with the help of the team around me. In fact, I was maybe being dishonest earlier when I said I was able to make worlds because I was left to my own devices and because my parents had sort of inspired me to do simple things like read stories about other worlds, or about different ways of looking at this world. But I think maybe more honest is that I made worlds where I would be safe. I'm a freak for process, and I love walking into a studio and seeing how things look when they're half finished. I love the way a pair of scissors look, sitting next to a bolt of fabric. I love the way paper pattern pieces look when my very talented assistant creates development patterns, and you don't finish it, and I come back the next morning, and these parts and pieces of what will be a collection, a garment or a collection, are sitting there. I think I feel so lucky to spend my time in this process. It's so embarrassing to say, but I love the look of all the tools. I love the look of all the materials before they're assembled. I love the look when they're partly assembled. I love the feeling of them in my hands. Materiality is where most of the good stuff is contained. A sense of history, the sense of touch, the optics, for sure, are all carried primarily by the materials you work with. And how to make things stick together? Should they be stitched? Should they be glued? Should they be puzzle pieced together? Should they be dovetailed? Should you use gravity, as the adhesive? Like, I love that part also. I love the kind of Yankee ingenuity, improvisational American jazz invention part of the process as well. I'm such a freak for process. There's always a danger that I might think it's more important than the final outcome, which would be a mistake. And I try not to let that happen. But because ultimately the person engaging with it is not engaging with process, they're engaging with the finished work. But if people can see the echoes or shadows of the process in my finished work and in the finished work of me and my team, in the case of the clothing, I think that's probably a good thing. I think that does make it feel richer for people. I hope it does. I had written a book, sort of an alternative history about menswear tradition. Some very passionate folks in Shanghai were aware of that and aware of some of my earlier work, and they reached out to ask if I would work with them to bring something new into the menswear space. So the result is LM.RT, which stands in some ways for my name, Liam Maher, and the phrase rural tailor, so LM.RT. And a lot of what I've tried to describe up until this point is embedded in what we're doing. Certainly trying to weave into garments a sense of where I come from, where I belong, where I hope to go. Selfishly, it involves my own experience of where I came from, where I belong, and where I hope to go. But hopefully it's done in an open enough way that it can also contribute, maybe even facilitate the wearer's self-expression of where they come from, where they belong, where they hope to go. A great deal of effort goes into translating all the inspiration in the attic of your mind and your boyhood and the stuff I've talked about, to organize it, clean it up, make it sharp, make it singular, and make it something that people can actually, approach and engage in directly. Dare I say, which is important, make it modern also. The short version of what we hope distinguishes LM.RT is that it combines the spirits of utility workwear, very sort of rugged and robust fabrics and kind of fasteners that won't come apart. Simple stuff like durability, quality is really central, like it is on workwear or some military product. But it combines those things with the rituals and fabrications and associations you have with real fine tailoring, being dressed up. On the skeleton and musculature of workwear and fine tailoring, we want to wrap it in the flesh of poetry, in emotion, and we want it to glow like sunset. And that's why we pick the fabrics we do and do the processes. We want it to be very romantic and emotional. And I am getting sentimental in my later part of my career. But when I stand back with the team and look at the beginnings of what we've done, I get very moved. I get moved like I'm watching a piece of theater or looking at a piece of artwork. We're not skilled enough to make theater or artwork, but we can try to make a collection. And it's made to protect you and lift you up and make you feel valued and indulged and safe. And I think maybe one of the most important characteristics the whole thing should have, although it's self-expressive and although it's colorful and although it's fashion sort of, is dignified. It's a big, big thing for us. We keep looking at each piece and each outfit and we think, fundamentally, is it dignified? Will the wearer feel like they have dignity? So if people eventually engage with it and wear it, yeah, I hope that they feel like they're participating in the great journey of, men in the culture. The history of what shaped our times, work and even geopolitical shifting, to do with the military plays a role in, the nobility of fine dressing and governance and all the things that make our experience in society. I hope they feel like they're part of it, but I hope they also feel like they're in control and it's authentic. and they've mixed it and spun it and layered it in a way that expresses their own journey of where they come from through where they belong to where they hope to go.